In this episode, we talk about why people like property. Hello and welcome to episode 18?
Yep,
18 of Real Estate TV. In today's episode, I get the opportunity to sit with my old man. We're on our way to San Remo for a couple of meetings for some projects that we're working on, and I had no time to film for the rest of the day, so I thought I'd invite him to talk about property. And what are we talking about in today's episode?
Why do people love property?
Why do people love property? It's actually a suggestion for an episode that he made, and I thought it'd be funny if he ended up being in it. Funny. So there you go. So why do you think people like property? Why do you like property?
Well, I think people like property because they want their own little domain. They want their own little space where they make their own rules. They can be their own king, their own kingdom, and nobody can tell them what to do.
Yeah.
Even if it's 500 square metres, this is my space, and you can't tell me that I can't put that coffee cup there, or I can't put that picture on that wall.
Yeah.
You can get stuffed. I'm putting it down, and if I want to punch a hole in the wall, I will.
Yeah. Nice, I like it. I reckon, why do you reckon people like property investing rather than the stock market or running a business?
Because it's familiar. People like investing in property because it's familiar. They all live in a house. They understand houses. They know how they work. They've got walls. They've got a roof.
Yep.
They live in them. It's very familiar. Whereas stock market, stocks, bonds, debentures, promissory notes, all that sort of stuff, they're all foreign. They don't understand it. But everyone understands a house.
So you reckon it's a little bit more accessible? The terminology's there already. We're already talking about it. I think another part of the reason why people find property investing fun, well, not fun, accessible, is because I think sometimes they accidentally slip into it. They've got a house, they've had their first home, they haven't necessarily got a strategy, they're just sort of doing their thing, and then they go to buy a block of land and build a house, and they go, what are we going to do with this house now? And someone might suggest to them, an agent or something like that, why don't you rent it out? And then all of a sudden, accidentally, they fall into that sort of, and then they've got one, and they go, oh shit, we can do more. And then they start doing that. I was having a chat with a guy the other day, and that's exactly how it happened for him. What else is exciting about it? You've done a fair bit of renovation, haven't you?
I have, because I like to take something, I like to see what can be out of something crappy and go, well, I can fix that.
Yeah.
And then if I can do it with my own hands, even better, because then I can be really proud of it. So look what I did, not look what I paid for, but look what I actually did.
Yeah.
There's a craft to it. You get it done just the way you want it, so that when you wake up every morning and you put your feet on the tiles in the bathroom, you go, this is exactly the way I wanted them. And I did that.
What did you do the renovation? Was it for investment? Did you ever have investing in mind with renovation, or you just wanted a nice house?
No, predominantly I wanted a nice house. I wanted a nice space for me to live in and for my family to live in. But knowing that what I was doing was also adding value, so I wasn't going to lose. Sure. I was going to make money off it in the long run.
Okay. So you didn't necessarily, though, go in with a plan, and you didn't do a sort of a rough FISO?
No. Not on the ones we live in.
It was just what bench Mum wanted and where Mum wanted the pantry. What did you get to pick?
Which store to buy the materials at.
Yeah, there you go. So I am fascinated by renovating as an investment, and it's something I want to try one day. But I don't want to talk about it just yet, because obviously I haven't done it. So I don't want to talk about theories. I want to talk about things that I've actually done. But I was having a chat with a guy a while back now, who said you need to allow, if you're doing renovation for investment, you need to run the numbers on it, and you need to allow a 10% profit at the end. You need to work back from that. So you need to work out what the acquisition cost is, so what you buy the house for, and then you've got your 10% profit. You've got to factor in agents' fees, and then you've got to look at how much. You've got to factor in a 5% contingency as well. So that's if anything goes wrong, you buy the house and then you work out you need to restump the whole thing. That's where your contingency goes. Yeah, you got to work backwards from there. So put in the musts and then work out how much you have left over to actually renovate if you are doing your renovation for an investment. But that said, I've never actually done it. No, but it is something I really want to do. I'd love to buy an old banger and fix it up and work out if it's a good way of making money or if it's a bad way of making money.
The thing about renovating is it just takes so much time and energy.
Yeah.
So much emotional energy goes into a renovation because you just give it. It sucks 100% of your time.
Yep.
You usually still have to go to work and have, do family things. You've still got to look after your kids and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And so it sucks every spare minute of your day.
That's the thing I always have a chat with my clients about as well, is you've still got to go to work and it does take time. But on top of that, I mean, if you buy something for an investment, let's say you're buying a first home and you're doing it as a chess move, and you see where you want to go, you get in, you buy a house and land package, you buy the land, you build the house, $550, let's call it. That's it. You've got a mortgage for $550. Whereas if you buy an old banger for $500 and you sink 50 grand in, that 50 grand comes from your cash, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's different. You're going to have 50 grand in cash and a deposit for a house.
You can't borrow that money from the bank to do the renovation.
No.
The best you can do is fund it yourself, get to the end, get the bank to revalue the property, and they'll give you up to 80% of the value of the whole property. And if the 50 grand that you've put in it has added 100 grand, then you might get enough back to cover what you spent on it.
Yep.
But you still got to fund it.
But you got to have the cash up front.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
at the very best, if it's a really, really significant renovation and you engage a builder to do it, they might lend you 50% of the build cost.
Right. Okay. Yep. But then all your margin's gone.
Yeah.
Realistically,
it's not actually a very renovating unless you're a builder or unless you've got a good source of working capital and you're turning them over on a regular basis. Is not a great investment idea, I don't think.
But if you've got a good source of working capital, you're better off buying 2 house and land packages. No?
No, it depends if you can add value. So, in the old days, this is how old I am, back in the good old days, when people first started doing renos, so they'd buy, renovate and flip, that was in the day where you could buy a house for 120,000, spend 20 or 30 grand on it and sell it for 180. So you'd make good money at the time. Yeah, it was only 20 or 30,000 you were making.
Sure.
But as a proportion of the total property, it was 10 to 20%. It was good money. And you could do it real quick and just flip them, and everybody was buying because people wanted to buy these renovated houses and they were loving it. But then when this is where the arbitrage thing comes in, that's because the people who were selling the crappy houses didn't know how easy it was to fix them up. But pretty soon, and I say pretty soon, within 2 or 3 years, everybody got to know that that's what they were doing. So the sellers got smart and said, oh, there's value in this, and the prices went up real quick. And so pretty soon the profit was being priced out of the market. And you couldn't do it anymore. So the equivalent would be buying a $300,000 or $400,000 house now, trying to spend 100 grand on it and make money. It's almost impossible. The only way you can do it now is to buy $1 million house, spend $500,000 on it and try and flip it for 2. And then you have to do that in a really expensive area like Brighton or Kew, or even Brighton is being $3 million, not 1, but really expensive areas. And it's just really hard to make. You need a lot of capital for that. That's out of the reach of most.
How much do you need for that? You
need the whole $3 million. But well, the bank will give you 80% of the purchase price of the house. So if it's $1 million, you'll get 800, assuming that you've got the income to cover.
So you need 200 grand, and you need $500,000 to fund. Let's be generous here and say the bank will fund you half of the renovation costs. So you have $450,000 in cash to earn 500.
And you need to have the income to prove to the bank that you can repay that loan that you're borrowing because you've got no rental income coming from the house. So you've got to cover your mortgage plus that mortgage out of your income. So you've got
way to do it.
Yeah.
But I feel like you've just got to be passionate about it. It's got to be your thing.
If you're a chippy,
Yeah.
knock yourself out.
100%.
For the average Joe, I think renovating to flip and make money is beyond their reach now.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you can make a lot more money with $450,000.
Buy vacant land, or buy untitled land, and flip it when it's titled.
Yeah.
Much less capital involved, much less risk, no work and effort. Just turn them over.
Yeah. That doesn't always work anymore. Developers are developers have kind of wised up to that, and there's a lot of contracts now where you can't just flip the blocks.
You can flip
Because
it
they
after
don't-
it settles.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So there are now cases where you can't sell the block within the first 12 months of settlement.
Right.
I don't know how they would enforce that, but
No. I don't know.
you wouldn't want to find out, you know what I
No.
mean?
But still, even if that's the case,
Yeah.
it's still an easier way to make money. You're not putting time. You've got to value your time and effort into whatever you're doing.
This is true.
So if you do a reno and you put 6 months of your blood, sweat and tears into it and you make 20 grand, have you done well? I would say arguably not. You're probably well behind. Because if you paid yourself for your time,
Yeah.
it's miles behind.
Yeah.
I think people like the creative element of property too.
And I think that's why people do renovations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Want to just tweak the house just so that it looks the way they
You're
want
so right, because I work in new homes, and the builder that I used to work for, I had two ranges. I had one that had flexibility to make changes, and one that had zero flexibility to make changes. The plan's the plan. It's our fast stream. You can't make changes. It was to save on admin costs, among other things. But people really rebutted against that. They were just not a fan. They much preferred the range with flexibility, and I think you're totally right. People absolutely love to be creative, even if they don't have a creative bone in their body and they've just got this hacked up piece of crap. They love it because it's their hacked up piece of crap.
Correct.
And they have all their friends over, as you said earlier. Oh, look at my butler's pantry in the middle of the shower.
Yes.
How novel's that?
So handy.
So handy. If I need a salami mid-shower. I also think that people like property because when it's going well, anyone can make money.
Yeah.
In a really, really, really hot market,
Even idiots can make money.
even idiots can make money. And Ed could make money.
That's right. And let's face it, there's plenty of idiots out there.
Plenty of idiots out there, but it's in a good market, everyone's making money. Even if you buy a dog, I reckon, because that land,
Yeah.
because
that's
it's
going on.
supply and demand. And I always say this: they're making more human beings, but they're not making any more land.
That's right.
So we've got a supply and demand issue. So inevitably, what happens to the price?
Goes up.
Goes up. What's that, Dad?
Economics 101.
It's 101. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you got something out of this, let us know down below in the comments, or if you just want to say hi, do the same. Don't forget to subscribe to the videos as well. That means that every time I bring out a new episode, I can just hand deliver it to you, rather than having to find you on the internet and tell you about it. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in episode 19.